Bowing at the sound of this bell, pervades the universal Dharma realm. Bring luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the three evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed, and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, Vairocana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the Lotus-born universe, expounding the treasured verses of the sacred golden text contained within precious cases, written on jade scrolls. Each dust mote interpenetrates and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Avatamsaka Sutra, expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase. Everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell. Namwata Shijinam Samyak Samutagrichinam. Om Majinabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Namwata Shijinam Samyak Samutagrichinam. Om Majinabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Namwata Shijinam Samyak Samutagrichinam. Om Majinabhavasi Jiri Jiri Om. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Amitabha Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the rays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding a mala, bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Rohana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite light. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. It is adorned with Dharmakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the bejeweled images observed by the three Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious waters. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmatched throughout the worlds of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self in everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Keep your thoughts on him and never forget. As thoughts probe that place of no thought, the 6 sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his no form radiate through space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person calls his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Along with all sentient beings, I vow together to enter the sea of Amitabha's great vows, and to ferry across sentient beings, so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path to Buddhahood. The sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Oh. Yatam Aritara Sabaha Om 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 Yatam Aritara Sabaha
Good morning. We will now stand and chant Yebu. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. We'll do the Heart Sutra. Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna paramita, perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge,
no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but Prajna Paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in Prajna Paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the Prajna Paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the Prajna Paramita. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisattva. Dharma Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra.
Good morning. Wonderful to see you all virtually again, and hoping to make this a regular thing, starting from here on out, until we can all be together again here in the temple. For my Dharma talk today, I wanted to talk about the way things were and the way things are. So when the stay-at-home order first started, it was a pretty scary time. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of uncertainty, but I felt that there was also a lot of community support and there was a lot of solidarity. I kept seeing people say, "We are all in the same boat." Now, as we're going on through this ordeal, I'm starting to see, and people are starting to realize that one person's experience of this pandemic is and can be very different from another person's experience. And I saw somebody on Facebook the other day say, no, we are not all in the same boat. We're in the same storm, but your boat and my boat might be very different. Some people have jobs right now, and some people do not. Some people have savings accounts that they can rely on, and some people do not. Some people have families that they need to take care of, and some do not. Our experiences right now are very different. And now that we are 2 months, a little over 2 months into this crisis, the disparities seem to be coming more to light for people. And I'm noticing that people are becoming very frustrated and very angry. There's a famous Zen story about a monk who lives beside this great big lake. And the water was very calm one day out on this lake. So the monk decided that he was going to take his rowboat. He was going to row out into the middle of the lake. And then he was going to put his oars inside of his boat and put himself into his meditation posture. And he was going to meditate on this nice, still, calm lake where it was quiet and peaceful. And just as his mind was starting to become very settled, another boat runs into him right out in the middle of the lake. And the first thing that the monk thinks in his mind is like, what kind of jerk runs directly into my boat in the middle of this lake? Like, weren't they paying attention? But he thinks, okay, I'm a monk, I'm supposed to be meditating. I'm just going to ignore them. And I'm just going to keep on meditating so I can show them that I am not bothered by their ignorance. So he goes back into his meditation posture, goes back to counting his breath. He's just starting to settle into it when the boat crashes into him again. And he thinks in his mind, what a jerk. He must be doing this on purpose. I bet you he saw that I was meditating out in the middle of this lake and he thought it would be funny. That really makes me angry. I think it's time for me to give him a piece of my mind. But the moment he looks up and he's getting ready to yell at the driver of this other boat, he looks up to yell and he notices that the other boat is completely empty. This boat had just been pushed by the wind and by the waves, and it just happened to crash into him. And his anger, all that anger that he had getting ready to yell at this driver, all of the anger he had just immediately disappears. And the monk experiences a great awakening. I think that COVID-19 is like the ultimate empty boat. Because it's a virus. We can't even see it. And yet it is the source of all of this stress and all of this anxiety. We can't eradicate it. We don't even know where it is. And so it creates this sense of helplessness inside of us. And there's nowhere for this anger that we have and this fear and this frustration. There's nowhere for it to land. And it creates this sense of groundlessness. And that can be very, very scary. So we might keep looking around for someone or something to blame for this very uncomfortable feeling that we have. I'm noticing it a lot when I get onto social media lately. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. There's a lot of accusations being thrown back and forth. There's a lot of criticizing. There's a lot of blaming others. And we're blaming others for all the things that we are the most worried about. And there's all this arguing about who really has the right view. So the Buddha gave us the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, and the truth of the path to lead out of suffering. Excuse me. And some people might think that if I just practice the right way, if I just do the right things, then I'm not going to have to suffer. But we really need to define what suffering is. It's not that simple, right? You see, there are two different kinds of suffering. So the first suffering is like our regular suffering, what we think of as regular suffering. This is sickness, this is pain, this is loss. The people out there right now who are getting sick and even dying from COVID-19, they are experiencing this type of suffering. And this type of suffering doesn't go away just because you're Buddhist. There is no amount of meditation, there's no amount of chanting that's going to make this virus go away. And there's no amount that will keep the loved ones that you have from dying. This form of suffering is natural. It's part of life. And it is due to this law of conditionality. Because of this, there is that. When this arises, this comes into existence. When this falls away, that no longer exists. The other type of suffering is more of a self-inflicted suffering. Being attached to things being a certain way. This is the type of suffering that the Buddha was really talking about. And this comes from dependent co-arising. It's all of the mental processes that we go through as a result of those conditions that are right in front of us. I want to see my friends and my family again, but I can't. I want this virus to go away, but it isn't. I want people to wear masks, when they're around me, but they're not. Or I want to go without wearing a mask, but I'm not allowed to. This is the condition as it is. But once I start to think about how frustrating that is, how sad I am about it, how unfair it is, how angry I am, then it becomes a self-inflicted kind of suffering. Because I am being attached to the way that I think things should be, rather than what they are. And the moment that I start to blame others for those conditions, then I am causing suffering for other people, because I think I am right and I think they are wrong. So we can go out there onto the internet, and I might want to point my finger at somebody else and say, you are doing the wrong thing. You're being a jerk. I might get really angry, get mad at them. I want to yell at them. I want to give them a piece of my mind, just like the monk in the boat, you know? But understanding that law of conditionality and the dependent co-arising, we might start to understand that there really is never a reason to get so upset, because they're all just empty boats getting pushed around by conditionality. So when we're listening to the news or we're reading through social media, rather than thinking, this is the right view, this is the wrong view, Buddhism tells us to practice saying instead, this is a view, and this is a view. To consider both sides as a view. And that the Buddha warned us not to become attached to views. Because if we become attached to those views, it will cause suffering. So I don't need to point out, hey, you're wrong about this. And I don't need to point out to the other person, you're just attached to your own view, right? Because then I'm committing the same mistake. The best thing that we can do for ourselves is to say, they have a view and I have a view. And maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I don't know the whole story. Maybe there's more to this than I think. I'm not an expert in this problem. And if we really want to engage with that other person in the other boat, first think about what it is that you have in common. The conditions out there are really hard right now. And we want them, every one of us wants them to be different than they are. They are suffering. We are suffering. And if we can take down that barrier that we've mentally erected between ourselves and all of those other people, and we can acknowledge the truth of that suffering, then maybe we can take just one more step towards a more peaceful world. I once heard the saying that it is better to take one bite of food in complete awareness than to save 10,000 beings. See, we want to run around and we want to save everyone and we want to get out there and change everybody's mind. But until we attend to our own minds and question our own attachment to views, we won't get anywhere. Because if we keep our eyes closed, we're never going to get the chance to notice that the other boat that has just made us so angry is nothing but empty. So we are going to spend a few moments in meditation. So wherever you are at home, if you have a space where you can sit, please join us for meditation. So for as far as announcements go, obviously as we move into doing regular Sunday services through live stream, whenever able, we will not be doing the sharing of merit ceremony anymore. But I would like to continue to keep track of the numbers, the COVID-19 cases and deaths from week to week. And all of the names that Sangha members have sent to Ansu and I have been written on little cards like this, and they are placed here on the altar. And we're going to continue to do that. So if you have names of people that you would like to have written on these cards and placed on the altar, please send them to us. We would be happy to do that. For today's numbers that I pulled this morning, I'm just going to recite the part from the dedication of merit in the sharing of merit ceremony. By the virtue collected and the grace received, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong part. Hold on. In equality among all beings, with open-hearted compassion for those who are facing any mental or physical challenges, who are sick, being treated for sickness, suffering isolation and loneliness, or close to death. We now hold it all in our hearts and minds. The 2,691 cases of COVID-19 in Kent County and 51 deaths. The 50,504 cases in the state of Michigan and 4,880 deaths. The 1,435,098 cases in the United States and 87,315 deaths. And the 4,425,485 cases worldwide, and the 302,059 deaths, and all those not yet reported. So we will move our camera back. We will do the closing gathas, and then we'll hang on for just a little bit afterwards. I'd like to read through the comments that I have here on the screen. And if you have any questions or anything that you would like to check in with us on, please go ahead and type those into the chat, and we'll try to respond to what we can at this time. And we say together,
For all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance,
born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. All right. Good morning, Aaron and Kyle. Hi, Adam. Adam, I sent you a Facebook Messenger post. I don't know if you saw it. Let's see. Nicole just started to attend before everything happened. Yeah. Hello, Wamko. Ambo, hi, Kate. Good morning. And Kat, Jinya, good morning. Okay. All right. Hello, Ellen and Pete. Spot on message this morning. Thank you. Good. If anyone has any questions, I got it. Yeah, good. Thanks, Kat. All right. So if nobody has any questions, anything to share at this time, we'll end the live stream. And please, as Amko says in the chat here, join us next week, 9:30 Sunday morning. Amko will be leading the service at that time. So we will see you then. Bye-bye.